So yeah, for anyone here that I haven't got the chance to meet yet, my name is Dan Gray. I'm the Executive Director with Dementia Support Northwest. Might be familiar with our previous name, the Alzheimer's Society of Washington. But I'm going to guarantee that almost everyone in the room has heard of the Alzheimer's Association. And I think it's easiest to talk about kind of the differences between the two to help understand what our role in the community is. So the Alzheimer's Association is a national organization. They do a lot of fantastic work as far as advocacy and research funding is concerned. We're a local nonprofit that's been around since 1983, and we're primarily dedicated to helping and providing support to people living with the disease now, as well as providing support to their caregivers. Takes on a variety of forms. Currently, that's things like caregiver support groups, staying connected classes for individuals living with dementia. Those are being provided virtually at the moment, though we're looking at trying to get a couple of groups started in person again. If we can talk some of our virtual people who have kind of really come around to the idea to try out in-person support groups again. But we've also been doing a series of community educations called Introduction to Dementia. It's in partnership with Northwest Regional Council as part of some recent grant funding they were able to receive to build more resilient and prepared communities for increasing dementia caregiving needs. And so we've been doing those on a, I think, 2-a-month cycle thereabouts. So we've been kind of working through the medical caregiver community currently after training all of Northwest Regional Council staff. But the basic idea is we want to make sure that if you have a caregiver or someone living with dementia that makes a phone call to someone starting at least in Whatcom County, that whoever picks up the phone has at least had some kind of fundamental training in dementia, knowing what the disease is, communication strategies, what things to be looking out for like caregiver burnout, safety concerns, things like that. We're also the administrative partner for Project Lifesaver, which is a radio bracelet tracking program for individuals that are prone to wander. A fairly large majority of those living with dementia will wander at some point in the progression of the disease. But then last night, I think probably most exciting is in the last 6 months or so, we've really been able to start rolling out our dementia-friendly event programming. Dementia is naturally kind of an isolating disease, and we do a lot of work trying to fight that natural inclination towards isolation. So it takes on a variety of forms, but generally our rule of thumb is if it is a dementia-friendly event, we talk about anything that's not dementia. Right now that's a breakfast club Monday mornings and the bar at Denny's, which are the guys particularly seem to really like that they're in the bar at 9 in the morning eating breakfast. But that it's something as simple as we've got dedicated wait staff that understand the disease, understand how to phrase questions for ordering and things like that, having just some dedicated space. In the winter times, we do art classes delivered virtually in partnership with Allied Arts. In the summertime, we like to kind of phase out some of the extra screen time and do things like we're starting our summer gardening program. For Fridays, we'll make use of a community garden plot with the City of Bellingham, just an opportunity to get out at a house and do something with other people who get it. And then we also like to do some kind of larger community events and some organized group attendance. We'll go like the Elizabeth Park concert series and things like that, trying to just kind of set out dedicated space. I think going forward we will be doing some stuff as we can move the Introduction to Dementia training program out of just the medical providers. We've been starting to do stuff with the AmeriCorps volunteers, senior centers, but we'd also like to get it out to private business owners and restaurants in particular. We've had some interest. Boundary Bay Brewing is interested in getting some dedicated training and setting aside some space, but we would like to use that as kind of a model for maybe having a space set aside in a restaurant where individuals consider have some trained wait staff that know how to interact, and that it is okay to be more interactive with those individuals and their care partners. So I think that's kind of the super fast crash course in Dementia Support Northwest. I guess the only other thing I want to say is that we have received some grant funding through the Chuckanut Health Foundation for a rural visits program. And it's really just to bring our services to everywhere that's not Bellingham in Whatcom County. And so starting next week, we'll be doing 2 weekly visits to communities, including things like Blaine, Linden, but also out in East Whatcom County, down to Glen Haven, and just kind of drawing a big circle around the county and visiting, like I said, everywhere that's not Bellingham. So we'll probably be reaching out to some of your local communities to try to set up some impromptu visits. But with the pandemic, we ended up shifting from doing this over like an 8-month period to like a 4-month period. So we're going to do it kind of fast. Any questions about our agency and services we offer? Or anything else? I can try to field a wild one. Yeah.
You mentioned a community visits, and including Blaine. What form does that take?
So it really is as simple as packing up our staff. We had a mobile office that we were using. It has recently been retired, so now it's private vehicles. Basically loading up everything we would have to give memory screenings, Project Lifesaver consultations, general caregiver support, throwing it in the car, coming out and setting up generally at some kind of community location. Most of the ones we've done so far have been out at the East Whatcom Resource Center. We try to pair up with other events that are going on there just to make sure that we are getting some kind of foot traffic. But really, that's a pretty open-ended answer. It can look like really whatever we really need it to be. There was Lyndon was more interested in like an educational presentation, and so we were able to get staff and volunteers up there to give just kind of an overview presentation, kind of like this, to just talk about what resources are available. But it is kind of customizable as well. In the default stage, it really is just showing up and offering services for generally about 4 hours at a time.
So you would reach out to somebody in the Blaine community saying, we would like to do this, and then you take it from there as to what location and what
Exactly. Very open-ended.
services you would be doing.
Yep. And ideally, we're hoping, I know I was talking with Dan about this a little earlier. Prior to the pandemic, we had support groups in Blaine and Lyndon, and we're starting some down in Skagit County as well, but they were all based around this model of packing up Bellingham people and driving them to those communities, which is fine, but I think support groups are, there's something kind of additionally valuable about when they can lean on that sense of community. I want someone to be able to attend a caregiver support group in Blaine, led by someone from Blaine, who understands what it's like to live in Blaine or has community roots there. Maybe it's a friendly face. And I think that's a lot more sustainable and kind of locally minded solution to the problem. And so part of the reason we're trying to get out into rural communities is just to meet people that might be interested in doing things like that. So we can kind of extend the support network from just being Bellingham everything. So, anything else?
If somebody was interested in Project Lifesaver, what are the steps to take?
It's best just to generally give us a call. I think the best phone calls we get are when we can find out it's not dementia. There are lots of things that mimic dementia, and so we like to start with medical exams before we even get into memory screening, just to make sure it's not something easily treated. But we've got volunteers, dedicated volunteers that oversee the Project Lifesaver program. Put them in contact with us. They'd be happy to talk with them about whether or not it might be a good fit. And I've also added, Rosalie already had all the things I would usually bring to an event like this, so I just got to add my little rat card in there. So if you are looking for contact information, feel free to take those, or really anything else I can get you.
Yeah, there's resources here, so please take what you need. And I brought pens too. So.
All right. Well, thank you.